Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. In this video, I go through the Theatres of War AMA, which happened yesterday over on Spectrum. As always, huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members, in particular to Dark Citadel for becoming my latest patron, and to Chain Brooks for becoming my latest channel member. Thank you guys all so much for the support. So, 3 devs working on Theatres of War took to Spectrum to answer our questions, and it was pretty great. So today, I'll go through exactly what was said, what to expect going forwards, and when we will expect to see Theatres of War again. I will also interject my thoughts on the matter as I go, and I have broken this AMA into 4 subject matters. We have performance, changes they've made, miscellaneous questions, and what's coming up in the future. But with that said, the first question that I just want to pluck out is, will we get Theatres of War for 3.10? Now the answer is they are testing another 3.9.1 build with the Evocati this weekend, and we'll look to open it up wider to more backers as soon as they're happy that it will be a positive experience for everyone. So with that question out of the way, let's focus on performance first, with the first question being, what are the requirements for a build to move from Evocati to Wave 1 and so on? Now, some of the key performance indicators are concurrency, performance, and visual fidelity, and after they review the next set of analytics from the upcoming Evo test this coming weekend, they will make a decision accordingly. They are looking to expose the mode to a larger group of players instead of just Evocati, but once they feel comfortable that the experience or parts of the experience are ready, then they will do so. So fingers crossed this weekend is going to be good, and it'll open up to at least the next wave. Next question is, how will you fix the desync? Now, they said quite a few desyncs were addressed for Theatres of War and are much easier to track and fix compared to the PU. The 250 millisecond delay was completely reworked to be about 50 milliseconds, like most other games on the market, and adjusted to serve Theatres of War as the server runs at a solid 30 Hz. Basically, desync issues are addressed as they are discovered, but oftentimes responsiveness and low frame rates are the bigger culprits. Now, they do say it's not one easy answer for what is causing the lower frame rates, but they have done a single sprint fully focused on performance and have saved quite a bit with more to come. Excellent news. So, final question for performance is, the 40 player cap seems a little dated compared to other games on the market. What is the reason for this player cap? Now, they say this is mostly down to performance. They will be able to increase this on larger map settings, for example, and they are not locked to 40 players, but the count suited the game mode. So quite a lot of good news there. Obviously, it is hard to say when a build will move from one testing group to another, as this is based entirely on how each test went. But with them saying that they have done a full sprint focused on performance, that is excellent news, and hopefully it has made a huge difference. The player cap may not increase for this particular game mode, as it is balanced to support the 40 players, so 20 versus 20, but future modes will definitely see more involved. More on that in a later video. So let's move on to the changes that they've implemented. First question being exactly that, what changes have you implemented since Citizen Cons and Evo tests? Now, they said there's way too many to list, but there were over 150 changes based on player feedback alone. They've also changed the map from the planet Hurston to Microtech. Now, I don't know why this is, most likely because there will be less performance issues with Microtech compared to Hurston, with it being a newer planet, but again, I don't know. Next question is, what was the outcome of the latest Evo Theatres of War test? Now, they say the weekend was a success in achieving the objectives they set out to achieve. A short list to summarise is, server performance was great, which is good news. They ran into some challenges every time they scaled concurrency to some degree, and this instance was not different. They reached the highest concurrency they've had, almost 5 times what they had tested with previously. They found issues in the platform that remain and are being looked at that affect everything. They ran into some persistence and service issues. They found the game to be running much more poorly than expected on players' hardware, at least when you have action happening and 40 people in relatively tight proximity consistently. Tons of new features were proven out at scale, which included chat, party, friends, joining into Arena Commander and Star Marine servers, as well as VoIP. They also pulled a great amount of very specific analytics. The Evocatis played straight for 6 to 8 hours with round cycling, which means no downtime, just round after round after round, and those metrics are validating, and in some cases not validating, much of the gameplay map-wise. So the map mode balance validated, for example, was out of 117 rounds played with a 54% win rate for defenders, which is fairly equal, but slightly stilted towards defense. But they would expect that to level out as people learn the map. And obviously going forwards, they will continue to monitor that and make changes where appropriate. Ship balance got highlighted between the Buccaneers and the Arrows with a 2x spawn rate of Buccaneers over Arrows, which likely means that they died twice as much. And the community also highlighted this, which is great, and they have adjusted it. They managed to confirm a few facts for the resource requirements for Theatres of War instances. Performance is and continues to be the biggest issue, and addressing that will help everything, whether that is perception of desync, responsiveness, and so on. And finally, because of their new metrics analytics, they discovered that someone somewhere made a kill with a fire extinguisher. Go figure. And that is just the short list. Obviously, there is a lot more that they have learnt and a lot more that they have implemented, but that's just a few of them. So the next question is, how has Theatres of War helped balance the game as a whole? Now, they say it's been incredibly helpful. Having a game mode where you're immediately in a focused combat scenario where FPS, ground vehicles, and ships are all interacting has given them the opportunity to see how everything interacts. Also influenced many FPS weapon changes and fixes, allowing them to tune the weapons for longer and more realistic combat ranges due to the size of the map and distance at which you will encounter an enemy. Now, they have done a pass recently to dial in all the alignments for the weapons and FPS scopes based on the feedback from the ENQUIRIES weekend test. So expect it to be fixed or addressed on the next event and the next PU patch. Now, this is excellent news, as currently in 3.9.1, all of the FPS weapons are balanced to a Star Marine environment, so I think with the longest range tuned to about 50 meters. I'm so happy that that has been changed. I just hope that we are now able to scope people out downrange and they don't just disappear. The next question is, one of the big Theatres of War issues is how restricting the boundaries was stopping snipers from taking up tactical positions in the woods. Will this change? And they have relaxed their outer boundaries so players can enjoy more freedom in the next build. Grenade throwing is the next question. What is happening here? Grenades are actively being worked on this quarter. It is on the roadmap for 3.11, I believe. Not specifically for Theatres of War, but once it gets implemented into the persistent universe, theatres will benefit as well. Next question, which is a good one. FPS movement in the PU feels clunky. Have you made any improvements to the way players move and handle their weapons? So they say that Theatres of War has been great for identifying issues with on-foot combat. As a result, they're making great steps towards making the movement feel much more responsive and to improve weapon handling. Some changes have already gone live over the last couple of updates, and more in the near future. A list of a few of the improvements are: movement and strafe speed was increased, total stamina and regeneration was increased, so increasing overall sprint time and reducing weapon sway. They've made animation speed increases for weapon reloads and ship and vehicle enter exits, and some weapon spread and recoil improvements. Hopefully this will be better in the next ENQUIRIES test, as player movement and weapon handling are two of my biggest FPS issues right now. They are very clunky, so yeah, hopefully that's all been addressed. So final question for the changes: how fast can we expect balance-related changes with the 3-month patch cycle? Now, this depends on the nature of the change. Balance changes to things like weapons, vehicles are issues that can likely solve in point patches or incremental patches. Larger changes like alterations to the map or the game mode would come with quarterly patches, and any change to one will obviously affect the other. But that's good that they can balance things quickly and not having to wait for the quarters. So on to miscellaneous questions. There's only a few of them. First one being, how big is the Theatres of War team, and are they dedicated to working on theatres? Now, they say the team is very small, as they know other things do take greater priority, but it comprises of 10 people. They have 4 designers, 2 engineers, 3 artists, and 1 producer. The main intent for theatres is to create an environment in which appropriate information can be gathered and help make improvements across the board. The feedback from theatres, as you know, directly benefits Star Marine, Arena Commander, the PU, Squadron 42, and I strongly agree with this. Apart from this game mode being something I've always wanted for Star Citizen for so long now, the actual balancing side of things is imperative to moving the game forwards for both the PU and Squadron, and it will really help dial all of the values for pretty much everything in the game. Next question, are you still keeping up with the 3.x stream, so the current build they're developing on? Now currently they are still working on the 3.9.1 branch, and this weekend's test will be that branch, but after that they will integrate to the latest 3.10 branch and remain in sync. Final question for Miscellaneous: will there be squad management options? Now they say currently the party system is implemented and will allow you to group up through the party leader, but they are looking to improve the user experience and the user interface elements that would make it easier and more visible. So on to the future of Theatres of War, what to expect going forwards. Will we get a medic, engineer and support role? Now this is something they do want to incorporate, but not the priority until combat is feeling good in a combined arms scenario. Then they will move on to the more specialised roles. They did say though, as medic gameplay comes online in future patches, they will look closely into how they can incorporate that into Theatres of War. And currently they are looking at a down state option with the ability to get revived, along with the upcoming body dragging mechanics and medical gameplay. So this is great to hear. So sooner rather than later, we will have a down state in which teammates will either need to revive you or drag you to safety before they do so. And I truly love that idea. Can't wait for that. Next question: will we see other Theatres of War game modes set in space, but still combined arms like Capture the Idris? And they say yes, the reason for this current scenario was to mix up FPS, ground vehicles and ships together. For the next scenario, expect them to focus on space and ship combat as a central component, but still using the same objective phase template. Also, they said that they will be starting work on the next scenario in the next quarter. Now this sounds great. So firstly, it means they intend to get Theatres of War working and out the door before the next quarter. And it also means that we will get more space-based themed theatres for the next scenario. So I'm very excited. But with that said, they did say there is a strong desire to continue the effort for developing and maintaining Theatres of War related content. As we've said before, it directly benefits all modes, the PU, Squadron, Arena Commander, Star Marine. They are dedicated to delivering polished and fun games and are looking into ways to scale the team. So on that token, they want to provide a diverse range of scenarios that will be both fun for us, but also beneficial for them to balance and polish. Capital ship flight scenarios are on their radar. Also, Theatres of War, they say, has increased the priority to get the Nova Tonk in-game, and it'll hit both the PU and Theatres of War at the same time when it is ready, but there are no dates as to when they will get to that. Next question: will there be C4? Now they have loads of really cool throwables, deployables and consumable items coming to the game in the future, but they don't want to give away too much. Will AI ever be introduced to theatres? Now, Theatres of War is not exclusively PvP, and scenarios can make use of AI when it makes sense. It will be very useful, they say, to have bots for internal testing, so maybe someday in the future. And then the final question: Theatres of War, it keeps saying it's a working title. Now they say they want the name to work well within the universe before making commitments, but they are open to ideas. So if you have a better idea for Theatres of War, or at least for this game mode, I think Theatres of War is the umbrella that these sort of games tie into, do be sure to let them know. So that is all the information from the latest AMA. I was very happy with the information we got, and I am very much looking forward to getting my hands on Theatres this weekend and giving it a try with all the new changes. I will be sure to let you know how it all went on next Monday's stream, so make sure you come and follow me over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothers. We will be talking about this on upcoming streams as well, so come and hang out with us. Hit subscribe if you enjoy my content and consider becoming a patron or channel member, helping me do what I do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.